What's going on, everybody? My name's JeffreyJoslin, and today I'm making a video about writing a song. First, I want to say thank you for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to me already, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you don't miss out on anything. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So what is a song? A song is an idea, an emotion, a story, an expression, communication put to melody, harmony, put to music. And what I hope to do is break down all of the various things that put together a song so that you can take a look at each one as I walk through it. What I'm hoping to do is write a song for you here on the spot. So today we're going to write a love song in a kind of standard pop format. That way you can kind of see me go through the process that I do, give you some insight into your own process, and then help you understand all the different facets that come together to make up a song. So, a lot of times what I'll do is start off with a riff or a sequence of chords. Now you might be asking yourself, what is a riff? What is a sequence of chords? A riff could be a so you could have a lick like that, or a riff, or you could have a sequence of chords, which would be something like this. Right? And you're going, what the heck was that? What I did there is I took a sequence of chords that are in the key of G. That's a G chord. And because, I've been writing songs a long time, I know what kind of fits together, but there are certain sets of chords that fit together within each key. That's based on the major scale. And if you were to play on a piano a G major chord and walk it up throughout the G major scale, it would create what I believe is called the diatonic set of chords that basically tells you what chords are in that key. Each of those has a number, 1 through 7. So you have G, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and then I think it's like something with a flat 5 or something, I'm not sure. I'll look it up and put it on the video. And then you're back at G. So most pop songs you hear are comprised of usually the 1, the 4, 5, oftentimes the 6 minor chord, and sometimes, like I just did, the 2 minor. And each of them has a sonic characteristic, right? So if you play the G chord and you're in the key of G, you feel like you're home. And you go somewhere else, like the D chord, which is the 5 chord. Okay, you've gone somewhere else, but ultimately it wants to resolve back to 1. If you go to the 4 chord, you've gone somewhere else, kind of wants to resolve, maybe not as much as the 5 chord. So each of them has a feeling associated with it that kind of determines where you are in your progression. Then you have the E minor chord, right? That could go to the 4, right? Right, so these are different feelings you get with each chord. So what I'm explaining is the why behind, well, what chords do I pick, I'm going to start with a basic chord progression today, just to give you an idea. Now, most songs you hear are comprised of a 1, 4, 5, oftentimes a 6, and like I said, the occasional 2 minor, but most contemporary commercial songs you'll hear is 1, 4, 5, maybe not in that order, some combination of 1, 4, 5, and a 6. For instance, something like that, or so that's a 1, 4, and a 5. The one before it, 1, 5, 6, 4, which is, if you're confused by the numbers I'm using, that's G, 5 chord is the D, 4 chord is the C, 6 chord is the E minor. So it gives you a little framework of what the chords sound like, why to use them, when to use them, and also a bit of a foundation is most songs are just using a few chords, and those are fairly consistent based off of, you could play in C, you can play in D, E, A. Every major scale has these corresponding 4, 5, 6 chords that are different in the key. They all have the same sound and same harmonic relationship. So anyways, let's get into it. So a lot of times I'll start with a progression, right? So I think the progression I did was 4, 2, 5, 1, 4, 2, 5. So I'm putting together a foundation for my song, right? So if this is going to be my intro and my verse, so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll get my progression going. And what I like to do is play this and kind of just sit in it and allow melodies to come, a lot of times in the form of gibberish. If I don't have any lyrical ideas, just kind of playing around with melody, because to me, melody is the king. It's the driving force of the song, and everything else, to me, is fit into the structure and pattern you create with the melody. Now, sometimes I'll create songs with lyrics first, and the more basic and predictable the rhyme scheme, it's much easier to put melody to lyrics that way. But a lot of times you get more interesting things if you start with a melody that's interesting and then try and work your lyrics around your melody. So what I'm going to do is kind of demonstrate. So if I'm so there's my kind of verse melody. And what I'll do a lot of times is I'll take my phone, because you can come up with just like a ton of melodies, and as you're working out stuff, you're singing all over the place. Sometimes you forget, like, oh, what was that first one? So a lot of times I'll pull out my phone and open up a voice memo, and I'll go and you. All right, so there we have the kind of framework for a melodic verse section. And what I kind of felt like I wanted to do there was maybe go into what I like to call a pre-chorus. And the pre-chorus is kind of the part in between the verse and the chorus. So you have the verse, which is a certain kind of rhyme scheme, a certain pattern, and then you have a section that's going to kind of set up and move you into the chorus. So if I have so then I might go right, so there's kind of my pre-chorus section. You can feel it kind of take you in a different section, a different feeling, and moving you somewhere. So again, I'm going to put this down in my memos here. Alright, so I'm setting myself up for my chorus. And what I'm playing there, verse, I was playing G to the C, which is a 1 to the 4, down to the 2, which is an A minor. I'm playing an A minor 7. You just play A minor. I'm playing A minor 9 and adding this thing. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of a variation of the A minor 7 chord. And then I go into the pre-chorus, which is C, which is kind of a C, a B over a C. It's kind of walking down. You could play a B minor. So I'm doing kind of a 4 chord, C, down to the, it's like a variation of B minor, which would be the 3, but it's just kind of putting a different bass note over top of the C, which is just a kind of a walking movement. Down to the 2, A minor, to the 5, D major. And then I'm doing it again. I'm kind of building it up, you know, hanging on that 5. So what I'm doing is I'm laying a melodic framework. I'm laying a harmonic framework. This chordal structure that I'm doing is providing the harmony and the rhythm, the, you know, foundation underneath the melody. And then I'm going to come back and put lyrics to that once I figure out what I want to say. So let's go, let's see if we can build a chorus melody now. So we're going. So let me see if I can duplicate that. So I'm going into my pre-chorus. So I don't know if that's what I did the first time, but again, this is like, you kind of see, like, you want to hang on to these ideas as they come, because a lot of times I find the very first instinctual thing is the best thing to me, most interesting. Sometimes I have the tendency to like, oh, what was that first thing I did, you know? So the voice memo thing allows you to be able to come back to it and go like, oh, what was that, you know? All right, so we have our verse section. We have our pre-chorus. And what I did chordally, I started on the 1 and walked up to the 4, to the 6 minor, just E minor, to the D major. And I'm just kind of walking the bass line, but you don't, you know, you can just go. So that's a C, a G to a C to an E minor to a D, and then I'm kind of doing another little section in the chorus, which is C to E minor, and I do it again. Hang on that D, and a lot of times this is where you want to deliver your hook, or your, you know, you kind of. Over and over again, you know, whatever the hook is, and maybe that's what our hook will be. You know, a lot of times you'll find, I'm gonna write that down, over and over again. A lot of times you'll find that as you hum these things, you know, you notice I just have some words that start to come out. And a lot of times these end up being the final words. And a lot of times they're just kind of placeholders that help to kind of, it's just kind of this instinctual thing where you're just kind of like, what's coming up? What is this thing that I want to say? So we'll go with that over and over again as our hook, as the name of the song, and I'll show you how that can drive the trajectory of the song as we're writing. And you see how I kind of deliver it at the end as kind of the punchline, as the point of the song, or the hook, or the little gotcha moment, what it is you're trying to say. All right, so we've got our verse, we've got our pre-chorus, we've got our chorus. Now, let's talk about a bridge. Now, a bridge, to me, oftentimes, or a lot of people call it the middle eight, but it's kind of if you have your A section being your verse, your B section being your pre-chorus, your C section being your chorus, and then your D would be your bridge, which is kind of like, I won't talk about lyrical aspect of it yet because we're not quite there yet, but talk about it in melodic sense is kind of a departure. You're going somewhere else that's maybe different in melody, different in chord. Maybe you go to the 2 minor. So that's another kind of little thing, or maybe you go to the 3 minor. Down to the 2. But it's usually a departure, it's usually I'm going to go somewhere else for a minute, and then I'm going to come back to the main thing. And melodically, too, it's kind of I like bridges because you can make them really interesting. It's kind of their own little world sometimes. It's like, whoa. Now we're in a different world for a moment, and you kind of go back. So let's say we do our verse, we do our pre-chorus, come back to a second verse, maybe a second pre-chorus. Sometimes you just go straight into the chorus. I don't know. And then after the second chorus usually is where your bridge comes. I guess before we go there, though, there's the potential for what could be a post-chorus, which a lot of times you hear in like Taylor Swift songs, or the na-na-nas, or the la-la-las, or the sing-along part. So let's say we want to do one of those here, because it's a pop song, and that's like a pretty widely used method, So let's think. So let's say we go to over and over again. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la la. We could do something simple that's kind of like a catchy little sing-along you could do there, or it could be, if you're producing a song, it could be. Could be a guitar lick or something, It's just a way to kind of keep the attention on a aspect, What is the telling a story, kind of focusing the attention on something, At every point you want to have kind of a focal point. What do you want people to pay attention to? So it could be a la la la, na na na. It could be a little lick or something. But these kind of interesting, singable, melodic ideas, all of them could be called hooks. The hook is could be referring to the whole chorus, or the hook itself could be. I'm like swatting at things flying in the air. It's like, what the heck is he doing? Could be a melodic idea that's really catchy. Could be the ending little hook over and over again. All these things could be, referred to as the hook. All right, so we've got these various sections. So maybe we want to think about a bridge, and we go, after we do. Maybe we go to the 3 minor. right, so there's kind of a melodic idea for a bridge section. I'm just going to get my phone out. And what I'm playing is 3 minor, which is B minor, down to the 2 minor, which is A minor. And then here we're going to lead back into the chorus. So you can see how that 5 chord kind of becomes the leading chord. You want to go to that when you want to, hey, you're going somewhere else. I'm leading in, you know. You feel that tension. It's like, oh, where we go, you know, we're going back to the chorus. We're going back to the, right? So we have our bridge. And that's pretty much the whole of the song. And you might have, you know, kind of some different things you want to do on maybe the outro or something melodically. But right there you have your framework, you have your chord progressions, you have your melody, you have your harmony. We've talked about scale, we've talked about the key of G, we've talked about how to use the different you know, diatonic chords or diatonic relationships. I might be using that word wrong. I'm not really someone that's like a big theory guy as far as the technical aspects, but I know how to do the things, but talking about them sometimes I'm not that versed in the vernacular. But you know, you have seen a bunch of harmonic relationships, a bunch of the different chords, how you can use them, and you might be asking yourself, how did I come up with those melodies? Now, for me, it's obviously very easy. I've done it a long time. I've come up with thousands of songs. I've listened to probably hundreds of thousands of songs, I don't know, in my lifetime. And these things just become internalized. The best way I know how to tell you is just go with your gut. And then maybe at first, what you come up with is really simple because, I don't know, you're new at it, and maybe you just go na 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 na, right? Just hang on one note and maybe a little variation. To be honest, you listen to a lot of pop music and it stays in the same place. So the sky's the limit. It's just a matter of, you know, what comes out of you. And I would say the best way to inform that ability is just to listen to as much stuff as you can, internalize it, sing along with it, you know, play along with it, and then just see what comes out. That's the kind of way that I look at it. It's like you have this funnel, you're dumping a bunch of stuff into it, and out the other end, the creative side, that is you, just naturally, that goes through that filter, and then it comes out a certain way. And you know, it might come out like you're copying something at first, and maybe that's fine. I mean, I learned, you know, to play a bunch of other people's songs before I started writing my own, but I kind of used those things and built off them. And don't be afraid to do that, because everybody's doing that. Everybody is borrowing from what has come before. So, you know, there's a saying that says, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. So don't be afraid to borrow and build off of things that have come before, or your, you know, people that you like to listen to. So that kind of gives you the building blocks for creating a chord structure, progression, the various sections of the song, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, post-chorus, bridge, and also giving you an idea of the different harmonic relationships in a key. And this is the key of G. Maybe I'll do some that are in other keys to give you an idea of what you could do with those. Or those different keys might create a different feeling or a melodic. And the ways that, you know, the ways that the chords are put together will create different melodic things. But this is kind of gives you a framework for building off of and an understanding of how to kind of go about putting things together. And this is kind of building, this is a way of building a song from the chords, from the melody, and then next we're going to do the lyrics. And I'll probably do a variety of videos to give you an idea of how to go the other way, starting from the lyrics or starting from the melody. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can write songs, and I've done them all personally. I like starting from all kinds of different ways. I don't have one way that I do things. So yeah, next we're going to move on to the lyrics. So hope you've enjoyed this part of things, and next we're going to move on to the lyrical aspect of things. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. Share it if you feel like it'll be helpful to other folks. But if you want to get notifications, make sure you click the notification bell. This will get you updated when I add new videos so you don't miss out on anything. All right?